Hi, David here. Just going through the process when I turn over a garden bed. So I thought it'd be interesting to actually go through the whole actual process and what I do. So first thing I do is pull out the crop, and this crop here is a lovely beetroot, and I usually like to make my own beetroot soup as well. So I usually need about 3 or 4 beetroot to make a nice soup, and I usually put some carrots and potato in there as well, and just blend it all up with some garlic as well. Pretty simple recipe. And then serve with sour cream. That's basically what I do. So just picking out these beetroot. They've been sitting there for about probably 5 months. Giving them plenty of water. So I grew them through the winter. So planted them just towards the end of summer, and they've grown through the winter, and just picking them towards the end of winter. So a lot of them I use this like seed tape to plant the beetroot, so a lot of them are pretty close together. So I found a few of the beetroot were very small. See, that one's like a marble. Others were quite big, like a tennis ball size. Most of them are around the tennis ball size, like that one there, which is the perfect size. So I'm just going through cutting off the tops. You can actually eat the tops of the beetroot as well. And I give it to the bunny rabbit. He loves it. So it's quite good it's quite a vigorous plant. It's quite tough. Just keeps growing and growing and growing forever. There are certain varieties of beetroot I've grown, and I let them get too old, and they got massive, like a softball size, and they were just too tough and woody. So I'm a bit reluctant to let them get any older than that. So I'm just picking through the garden bed. This one, the birdie garden bed, it's like it's like halfway up your knee sort of height, probably 1.5 feet high. But it's a good size. About $100 or $150 each. Bought them directly from the birdies online. So just picking through the beetroot and just cleaning them up, cutting the leaves off, going through. There's another small one. There's another small one, which I'll get to later. Another small one there. Then that's a bit of a spinach. I just let the spinach go, and a lot of that goes towards our dinners as well. We'll do a stir fry. So what I'm doing now is got these small beetroot. Instead of just throwing them away, I'll replant them. So beetroot's a perfect thing to replant, but what you need to do is cut a few of the big leaves off and just have a few little leaves. Anyway, you'll see what it looks like when I plant it. So I'll go through and cut them off gently, then put them to the side, go through and do that for all the rest. So about 20 odd plants, I think, when I was finished. Yeah, so just still cutting a couple more there, and another one there. So all the little ones can be replanted, because basically beetroot's a root, and it'll just keep going. And picking them up now, and there's another garden next door. So it's a very, I've got a bit of sand in the soil there, you can see, and a bit of sort of the litter from the bunny. It's like a paper litter we use. So I use that there. So it's got fertiliser already in it. And the beetroot seems to like that. We also use the same litter for the cat, but I'll put that under the lemon tree. I don't, because the lemon can sort of take the more acidic urine, I guess. It seems to like it a lot more. So I don't buy any fertiliser at all. I just use what the bunny and the cat do, which is quite good. So instead of throwing away in the bin, I actually recycle it and mulch it, and feeds all my plants quite well, actually. So just planting another row there of little beetroots and giving them a water. Yeah, beetroot's amazing. I just probably about a month after this video was made, I was digging through the compost bin and I found a beetroot in there which was still growing. So it's pretty tough. So you can plant them again and they'll just keep growing. Quite a good plant. A couple are cracked a bit, that means the plant's dried out too much. Alright, so there's that garden bed. It's my middle garden bed out there. So I'm just digging up the first layer. So I'll call that the A zone. So first, say, 5-6 inches of soil, which I'm just digging through now. This is my best soil. This has all the mulch on top of it, all the bunny stuff, all the litter and all that. It is the main zone all the plants grow in. So what I do is I dig that out and I put it in a wheelbarrow. So that's my number one layer of my best soil. So different grades of soil, as you'll see as I go through. So just digging it out, putting the wheelbarrow, And wheelbarrow is quite good for that. I got a big plastic one from Bunnings. It was like $100 or something, like that much. So just digging out that first layer of soil, which is nice and friable. It's got a bit of sand in it as well. I find a bit of sand helps with the root vegetables and with the drainage as well. Because where we live in Australia, it's very clay. So this is level B. It's a bit tougher. So we've got the bigger mattock on it and just going through it, just dragging it out. There wasn't a lot of worms in there. The soil's still pretty good. This is still pretty rich soil. This is where a lot of the nutrients drain down to. So I'm just putting that in a separate pile over there. So just go through and dig that out, get that out separated. So that's about the next 4 or 5 inches after that. So it'll be down like almost a foot after this. I just keep digging it out. Still a pretty good soil. It's got a bit more clay in it in that level. So just digging it out. Getting out the rest of it there. So then I've got my layer below that, and that's got a lot of clay. It's got a bit of newspaper in it, and it's got a lot of sticks and twigs in it. So it's not really ideal soil. It's good to like the spread onto grass and that. So here you can see there's some rubbish which hasn't broken down yet, and you'll see when I put the compost stuff in there, when I start filling it up, this was that layer where the compost was. So most of it's gone. The shame is some of the cardboard and paper has plastic on it, which is terrible. So it's hard to tell what's what sometimes. You think it's just glossy paper, but it can actually have a layer of plastic on it, and that just does not break down. Plastic. And also little stickers on apples, they never break down either. I've had them in bins. I've found them like 5 years later and they still look like brand new. So anyway, there's the rubbish I've got. So there's a bit of paper which wouldn't break down, and some sticks and a bit of plastic. Not too much. I try to get most of the plastic. So now this is layer D, and this is really just clay and a bit of the last bits of paper and refuse I put in there which wouldn't break down. So again, this is good to put on top of smelly compost when you move it across, because I'm a bit of a nut when it comes to compost bins. I actually have 5 compost bins at the moment, and because I recycle a lot of paper. So with this layer I just moved it to one side, and I thought that was easier than digging it right out. So I've dug down on one side, and that's where I'm going to put the compost in. Here's the compost bin. Trouble is, all my compost bins are full, and this one hasn't finished composting, but it's okay to just chuck that bit I chucked into another compost bin. And that can compost later. So it's all just cardboard and stuff which I recycle. And here's the compost. So I think I threw a bit of soil in there initially. Then it's got all the kitchen scraps, eggshells and vegetable off-cuttings. Bit of bunny refuse. Some of the oranges and that which fell on the ground, so I'll throw it straight in. By the way, this is full of worms as well, so this layer is just chockers with worms. Worms are the key to a healthy garden. So I'm going to go to the next layer, which is even more full of worms, and all the wormweed goes down further, which is the best nutrients of all. So here's like starting to mulch. It's really like papery and very fluffy sort of soil. It's really nice. You can see the worms have all been through it and sort of mulched it down. There's still a few sticks in there, but I don't care too much because I'm putting it right down the bottom of the garden anyway. It's more or less just to get rid of it. There's a bit of plastic there. Plastic just does not go away. So just going through, there's a few little sticks. So just digging it out. So what I'm going to do, because all my compost bins are full, I wanted to empty this bin, and it really needed like another 2 months to compost, but sometimes because I only have 5 compost bins I run out of space, so I've got to get them early. So I'm just digging all that up. So I'm actually underneath my lemon tree there, so all that goes onto my lemon tree, and I've had so many lemons this year. It's just there's like the tree next to the lemon tree. Lemon tree's on the right there. You can see some lemons. So I just take it over and I'm putting it back in that birdie garden. So that's a good little plastic trolley. So they're quite handy as well. So I use that a bit when it's not quite a wheelbarrow load. So there's the compost that's about 70% rotten or composted. So what am I doing now? So all the compost is gone. There's the last bit just going in there. So it's a little bit rough and ready. There's a lot of paper in there, and that's all. That'll break down. So put that down. I'll spread it down. Then I'll move that grade D soil on it, because some of that stuff's a bit smelly, so that's all right. Then I've got all my, I know I was going to feed to the bunny, but some of them are a bit old, so I decided just to throw it back in where it came from. So that way the nutrients which came out of the soil go straight back to where it was. So that's quite clever. So I'm putting the grade C soil back on. Just putting it in there. Now it's very important you don't stand on the soil. You want to give everything a bit of air and that. I will press it down later. But I'm going through looking for rubbish. I'm just giving it a bit of a press. If you don't press it down, you'll end up dropping about 3 inches anyway, and you sort of then have to top it up. So it's better to press it down a bit, get a bit of a water. Yeah, we've got actually recycled water here. So, and I got clay breaker too. So this is really good. This was from Bunnings as well. I looked for this forever. It wasn't that much, $6 or $10. Big bag of gypsum, and it's all broken down. Yeah, so I didn't use all of soil C, some of it's there. Now I'm using soil level B, which is the second best layer, just putting that all in now. We've been living here like 25 years, so eventually my soil's getting better. But having the raised garden beds really helps, because the water, if it rains a lot, it just doesn't penetrate. So there's a few small clay rocks or shale rocks, taking them out. Just smoothing it over. Yeah, gypsum's really good. It breaks up the clay, because clay is very tiny particles, and that somehow stops them being electrically static together. Watering that in as well. Doing a nice job there, Dave. Yep, now putting layer A from the wheelbarrow in now. That's my prime layer. It has a nice sandiest soil there. So putting that in, that's where the plants will do most of the growing. So put that back on top. There's most of the nutrients. So just putting that over on top of that gypsum, so it should really break up the soil. Top, giving a bit of a press down there. Dun, dun, dun. This is a nice friable soil. Bought some bags of sand as well to mix up with it. The carrots really like the sand. They can then penetrate through. When I was trying to grow carrots in the clay soil, they're just 2 inches long. They're like turning into U's, are bending back the other way towards the sky sort of thing. So just watering that down, and then usually what I do is I'll just leave that garden bed for a week or so, just let it settle. Oh, there's my friend, the blue-tongued lizard. Beautiful thing. So I always have a bit of a natural area they can just live in, because I think they're really good. They eat all the cockroaches and bugs and all sorts. They actually eat, I think they eat funnel web spiders as well, so it's good to have those things. They'll eat all your bugs. I don't spray or use any chemicals in my yard because I want to look after little skinks as well. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm now prepping that spot to put the compost bin back, so I'm just digging around. It's a circular compost bin, so I'm digging around, making sure the compost bin will sit in there nicely. Put it in and wiggle it, and I can just see where it fits. And then I get a good fit there. Actually, I was looking at it today. I still got a bit too close to the fence, so when I do it next time, I'll bring it back a bit. Yeah, my wife was worried I had too much dirt along the fence. So there it is, buried in. And nothing in it. An empty compost bin, and I got fertiliser for my garden.